Warning: this episode contains strong language. It also contains minor spoilers for the 2012 game Dishonored. Hello and welcome to PauseCast, episode 14. It's Thursday, September 8th. 2016. I am Jessica Alouette, and I use she/her pronouns.
And I'm Mark Henner, I use he/him. Welcome.
Episode 14. This is a controversial week in tech that we have stumbled ourselves into, I should say. We'll get into that in a little bit. Mark, why don't you tell me a little bit first about what you've been playing this week?
This week's been a bit interesting in those terms. I haven't been playing very much, but I've played sort of maybe a bit more of a range than normal.
Than the two games that you were playing for weeks?
Yeah. I guess. So
that's being mean, and I'm sorry.
No. It's true. It's absolutely true. I've actually been spending a lot of time preparing for my D&D campaigns. It's starting a new arc, and I was out sick a couple of days this week, so I haven't played too much, but I did pick Dishonored back up, and I also started playing Undertale, which I've had recommended to me by so many people and have had in my Steam library for a little while, and wow, is that good. It's so good. I'm going to be playing more after the recording. I've also done a little bit of Monster Hunter as well. Like, I haven't been leaving that, but yeah, so it's been a little bit of a few things this week. Dishonored was fun until I encountered what I can only assume was a bug that made me rage quit, and I haven't gone back yet. I haven't seen anything like that in Undertale, but it's pulled the rug out from under my feet a couple of times in a really impressive way. So I'm thoroughly impressed with that game so far. I'm about 2 hours in. I don't want to say too much because I know how much I get out of this sort of game when I go into it based only on it's good, you should play it, rather than this is why. But yeah, it's good. Everyone should play it. I'm pretty much blown away so far. I think it's amazing.
I would also extremely highly recommend Undertale from the few hours that I've played of that game. That bullet hell, though, that's just not fun. I will say that, the game has so many other redeeming qualities, and it's worth playing for those. But Jesus, that bullet hell is very bad.
It does some really fun stuff with it, though.
I mean, yeah, it does some fun stuff with it, but I still, it's easily the most annoying part of the game, especially when you get to some of the later fights.
Okay, yeah, it is my least favorite part of the gameplay, but the fact that they have fun with it makes me like it still for what it is.
Yeah, I still appreciate it and like it for what it is. There's so much more redeemable stuff in that video game, and there's so much that I wish kind of other devs would take inspiration from, you know? There's a lot of great lessons that people could pick up from Undertale, but that bullet hell stuff is not probably my favorite design thing for people to take away from that. Undertale's good. What have you been thinking about Dishonored as well? Because I enjoyed the hell out of that game.
So
I've played it through twice.
I've played Dishonored before, and I spent so long in the tutorial mission and the first mission trying to do everything and perfectly. It was ridiculous. I couldn't play that game because I spent 6 hours going across one street kind of thing. I've been better at it this time in that I'm like, okay, I don't have to do everything and it doesn't have to be a perfect run. And I've been enjoying that a lot more. But that bug I ran into was infuriating, and I'm going to call it a bug. I'm going to talk a little bit about what actually happens in the games. If you're worried about spoilers, skip ahead a little bit. But in the first mission, the first proper mission in Dishonored, one of your objectives is to save the uncle of one of the people at your hideout from being poisoned. And the uncle is meeting with the big bad guy you're supposed to kill or otherwise deal with. So what I did is, before the uncle drank the poison, I knocked him out and I hit him. And I just hit him in the corner of the room. And then I went on about the rest of the mission thinking, cool, I saved him. He's fine. And then when I got back, his niece was there looking angrily at me saying, my uncle's dead, isn't he? You're an asshole. And I was like, what the hell? So I Googled it. Turns out you also have to put his body in a dumpster. The game didn't tell me this. On returning to it, I see that there was an objective saying, put his body in, quote, a safe place. I thought I'd done that. But no, it has to specifically be a dumpster. I didn't even know there were dumpsters, let alone that you could put bodies in them. I found out what they are. I didn't realize there were dumpsters. But yeah, that really bugged me. So after that happened, and I thought, well, I'm going to go back and do it right, because that wasn't intentional. But that's like an hour of play I don't want to have to do again immediately. So I've stopped it then and haven't gone back, which is really annoying, because I don't like doing that to games, because that's often the point where I will lose momentum completely and not come back, even though I don't mean to. So that was annoying. But aside from that, I've been really enjoying it.
Yeah, that does seem peculiar, huh?
Yeah. There are other ways to go around it where you can not fail that part of the thing. But if you knock him out, you have to put his body in a dumpster, it seems, which was just not really communicated in a way that I understood clearly, right? Like, I didn't realize.
Yeah. The route I typically take with that mission has always kind of left him conscious.
See, first I thought doing that, but then it turns out if you just knock out the other guy, your friend runs off and alerts the guards because he doesn't know he's your friend. I know there's a way you can go down and get him to realize it in the basement if you spill the poison so they can't use it, but I didn't know about that, and I don't like using routes like that I found out intentionally or otherwise by reading up on it online. So, yeah, that bugged me. It still bugs me.
Well, hopefully you get back to it.
Yeah, I'm sure I will, but Undertale's coming first at the moment. I'm really enjoying it.
And that game it's really enjoyable. So I'm glad you're getting a good time out of that.
What about you? What have you been playing this week?
I beat Doom at long last. Yeah.
Finally. Nice.
Yeah, like fucking months later. Hey, everyone, I finally beat Doom. I'm irrelevant now.
So in the end, were there any like protesters or anything?
No eco warriors.
Ah, damn it. Such a missed opportunity.
There were some pretty cool swords, though. I will say that some cool
swords.
Some cool swords happened.
Okay.
It is a shooter game, but there's some cool swords in there too.
Is it like a gun that shoots swords?
Oh, that'd be rad. That sounds more like a Oh, you know what? Actually, now that I think about it, that does exist. It happened in not in Doom. It was in Saints Row 4. There was a gun that shot knives, and it was that's the same, right? Knives, swords, same difference.
Well, I mean, didn't Saints Row 4 also have a gun that shot dubstep?
Yes, there was also a gun that shot dubstep.
Saints Row 4 has all.
It was like
weapons.
the worst dubstep too. Like it wasn't good. Like it was like my first FL Studio track kind of quality, like teens messing around with audio production for the first time. So that was probably my least favorite weapon. Oh, that game was a beautiful mess. I've played some more Valkyria Chronicles this week. I have played. I played some Hitman. That's been good to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've also been playing the PC version of Batman Arkham Knight.
So which one's that? So we've had Arkham Asylum and then Arkham City.
Yep.
And then the prequel Arkham Origins.
Developed by a different studio from the other two.
Right. And then after all of those comes Arkham Knight?
After all of that comes Arkham Knight.
Okay.
And this was a game with a PC port. so bad that it was pulled from
Oh,
sale.
yeah, that one. You told me about that. Yes. No, I remember seeing that in the news as well. It was pulled for months, right, until they could fix it.
Months and months and months. And it was gradually kind of brought back up to speed and brought up to an acceptable port quality.
Didn't they
And
bring in a different studio to fix it?
they brought in a different studio to develop it in the first place, which was why it was garbage.
Oh, and then they brought in the original studio to fix it.
Yeah, Rocksteady came in afterwards and they did the PC version fixes.
Hmm.
But because they left the port job to another studio, it was subpar, shall we say? And like, let's talk about certification processes for games.
Okay.
Not ratings cert, just cert.
This is for getting it into stores
This
and
is for
online
getting it
stores and
into
stuff.
stores, right? So both Xbox and PlayStation 4 both have a process where you have to submit your game to Microsoft and Sony. And they send it to their QA teams and go over your game. And at the end of this process, you get the green light to upload your game to the PlayStation Store or the Xbox Marketplace or wherever. This is a process that takes several weeks, and it's why day one patches exist.
Right, because once they've sent it off, they can't make further changes directly to it.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
The patches also get to get approved as well, don't they? And that can take some time.
They do.
So I remember I've seen complaints from the people developing about how they can get it out on get a fix out for something on PC quite quick, but if they want to fix the same thing with basically the same patch and the same code on a console, it can take a couple of weeks to actually get to the players.
That's correct. And like there's ups and downs to that. The obvious big down is the kind of delay in getting your patches to the consumers. But it also means there's way more explicit quality control.
Yeah.
And Steam doesn't have any oversight for patches.
What about, before we get to that, what about mobile gaming stores? Because there's a lot of crap on them.
There's a cert process for that
but
too.
There is stuff.
Like
so that's more for what's the word I'm looking for? I've lost a word. Help me find it. It's more for making sure it's got like appropriate content and stuff, isn't it? Or is that actually make sure it
mostly,
works?
I think, in Apple's case at the very least, and making sure that you're not explicitly infringing on copyright.
Well, I don't think they do a very good job of that, do they? There have been like a million different copies of some mobile games.
They're all different enough that they can pass through, but yeah,
Remember Flappy Bird?
Yeah, I remember Flappy Bird.
Weren't there like 50 million?
Yeah, the 6 trillion clones of Flappy Bird. Yeah, I remember all of those. The thing is that they even though they were exactly mechanically the same, they changed enough that fucking they got through cert and got onto the store. With regards to quality on the App Store, it seems like there's very little cert. I think that process mostly exists to make sure your app doesn't fucking crash every 2 seconds.
Yeah, or break other stuff on the phone, I suppose.
Yeah, and then it doesn't have any code that it shouldn't is the other part of that, and then after that they stop giving a shit.
At least it's relatively easier on a more locked down system like a console or a mobile phone. But Steam, yeah, it's a whole definition on PC.
That's got a quality problem. Steam sucks for the reason that anybody can put anything on that fucking storefront.
Can they, though?
Yeah, basically.
I don't think it's allowed to be accepted to go onto Steam. I mean, that's why they've got Greenlight, right? Because you can't just put it right up on the store.
You can if you go through some channels for, I think there might be a fee that you can pay to have your game just listed. I might be wrong about that. but Greenlight also exists to have prospective listings. So I think that allows you to subvert any fees that might exist. I might be just utterly wrong, so please don't quote me on that. But that's what I kind of think happens. And God, Steam gets so much shovelware pushed through.
Yeah, it's got that default view on the store page, which is like recently released, is it?
Yep.
Popular new releases, yeah. And there's always, I mean, they might be all fantastic. I don't know. I don't buy them all, or generally any of them. But there's a lot of stuff in there that looks very generic a lot of the time.
Yeah, and there's just like there's a ton of asset flips that get onto Steam, which is like people buying assets from the Unity store, and they're intended to be like quick start kits, but instead they're just taking all these assets, mashing them together, and selling them wholesale. If you want to see some examples of this happening, Jim Sterling frequently does videos about the utter garbage that gets onto Steam. Sometimes, just yeah, some not pleasant shit. But there's very little oversight in terms of quality in general, which is why that port even happened. Once you've got a listing, you can just upload shit to it. Again, this is the benefit of like being able to rapidly deploy patches, which Hello Games has been making some use of with No Man's Sky.
Oh, so has that had significant changes since it came out?
I am gonna guess so. There's been 8 patches that have pushed through on PS4.
That's quite a few. Have you not been playing it, though, to find out?
I have not been playing... I don't play the PC version. I've got the PS4 one.
Oh, sorry. I misheard you.
I know that the PC version has had some significant problems.
Right.
So, yeah, just... I don't know. I really hope that Steam gets better quality control at some point. I hope to God that they get better community kind of control as well.
Is that pretty crap? I don't really get involved in it.
The Steam community is some hot garbage. And it's just a fun situation.
I mean, find me any gaming community that isn't like explicitly gated so that approved people are in it, that isn't full of horrible people.
I mean, that's not the point though.
Okay.
The point is that the community on Steam is hot garbage, and there's not really anything that Steam seems to want to fucking do about it. Because the reason is they can't ban people, because these people have put, thousands of dollars into their platform, and they'll continue to do so. And they're a valuable asset, so they can't just ban abusive shitheels.
Is the problem that they can't, if they remove the account, then that's also removing their ability to play the games they own, and there's no way for them to separate that from whether or not they're allowed to engage with community stuff?
Yeah. As far as I know, there's no real way to disable their community involvement.
Because there's Steam community stuff, and then there's stuff for individual games that's separate but still uses Steam as a platform for it, right?
Yeah, and then there's like the storefront aspect of it as well, where, for example, you get review bombing going on. People decide they don't like the developers of a particular game, or they don't like what an update is added, or or the inclusion of for example, a transgender character is too much for them to comprehend. Their tiny brains.
Yeah, I remember that happening.
You remember that whole controversy?
Yeah.
They can't think, apparently, so what they do is they go onto the store page, and they either write a new review that's negative, saying, don't buy this character, don't buy this game, it's SJWs. And like that's rampant. Or like they'll disagree politically with someone like Zoe Quinn, who put out her free game Depression Quest, and um, they'll go and just play the game for 2 minutes and then bomb it with a negative review. And this happens frequently. You also have like the problem of the tag curation is often garbage. Like you'll see, let's say, let me use an example of Hatred here, which was a very bad, edgy, grimdark.
Oh no, I remember that.
You remember
I remember
this?
about that. I never got it, of
Yeah,
course,
it
but I
was
remember
tagged
seeing it.
when it was like at launch. It was tagged as like family friendly,
Oh
anime,
god,
like
no.
casual. Casual frequently gets applied to Call of Duty. So funny.
Yeah.
Like
It was at least something when Steam came up and said, okay, you can mark a review as funny instead of helpful because someone meant that way.
yeah, that's something. But like that doesn't fix the tag problem. That
No.
doesn't beat. Like that doesn't stop any of this review bombing. It doesn't help. It's just another way to say this review is effectively useless, but it's funny. I guess. I don't know.
Some of them are both useless and not funny. But yeah,
Steam's got some problems. It's got some shit to sort out.
fair enough. Yeah, like I said, I don't really engage with any community stuff, so I don't see any of that. Like I don't read the reviews on it or anything. I forgot their word tags.
That's fair enough. I don't blame you. So let's get into more tech controversies. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right. So I'm going to gloss over this one real quick. Apple today announced a new iPhone. It doesn't have a headphone jack.
Which is the stupidest shit.
I agree. They are including with it a port. Like a plug, a dongle that you can put into your phone and then plug headphones into.
I thought a dongle was a USB modem.
No, a dongle is just like a generic term for like anything. Any kind of external device. Like a wireless adapter, yeah. That would be like a dongle or an authenticator dongle for like you can get one for battle.net or for 1Password or whatever. It's just a USB thing that plugs in.
I think I only heard the word used, well, pretty infrequently to be honest, but I think I've only heard it used for wireless. Not wireless, sorry, external modem, like USB modem things.
Yeah, it's just it's a generic external term.
Yeah.
So that's that. That's a profanely dumb thing. Also dumb. The name of Sony's new PlayStation 4. We knew that they were going to announce one.
Is this Neo?
This was codenamed Neo.
Okay.
This is officially called the PlayStation 4 Pro.
Do you have to be paid to play games in order to buy it?
Yeah, I think that's the intent. It's got it's got some impressive tech in that. Like that shit can play 4K, real ass 4K video games.
If you have a screen that can play.
Yeah, if you have a 4K monitor. But like that's who's going to care about 4K for the most part. Anyone who already owns the tech for it.
How expensive is this one?
The console or the TVs required to run it? Because the TVs required to run that typically run in the range of $1,000+.
That's New Zealand.
Yep, that is New Zealand.
What about the console?
The console itself is actually going to be about $650.
How does that compare with the other PS4? The normal one?
The standard one was about 500 and something. So
it's not too much more relative to the total price then. It's not like double or something.
Yeah, it's more expensive.
Oh yeah,
Just
for sure.
by
It's kind of like a
bit,
special edition version of a game in terms of how much more expensive it is proportionally, I guess.
Yeah, it's like an extra 20% cost, I would say. But then they've also dropped the PlayStation 4 Slim. So this is the same specs as the existing PlayStation 4 in a smaller case, and it will apparently run a little bit cooler, which is a nice touch. And this has been an interesting thing to see because about 2 weeks ago, Laura Kate Dale, who we've talked about on the show before, she works at letsplayvideogames.com, and she got her hands on a PlayStation 4 Slim about 2 weeks ago from a retailer who broke
Right.
Street Date.
Because you just said that it got announced today.
Yeah, it did. So she's actually put up a review of this console that didn't exist for 2 weeks while she had it in her hands.
Well,
It did. I say
exist
that
in
it
air quotes.
didn't officially exist, but it exists very much so. Yeah, that is a thing that happened.
So how'd that go?
The internet seemed to call her a liar for a long while.
What, did they think she'd made like a cardboard PS4 or
No,
something?
they thought she 3D printed it. Because that's a thing. Even though she clearly documented literally every part of it, like turning on and plugging it in and navigating the menu and showing off the new controller. The controller's been updated a little bit. Light bars on the front now.
Okay.
Now, I will say I'm impressed very much that it is, this console is officially coming out in a week and a day. It's coming out on the
quick.
16th of September.
Oh, I suppose if they broke Street Date, it means that they had it already, so it must be
Yeah,
soon.
everybody's got it already at this point. And I'm also impressed that it is sub $500.
So it's cheaper than the normal one.
$489.
And it's better and cheaper than the normal PlayStation 4.
Yep.
Wow.
I'm just extremely impressed with it. That is the 500 gig model, I will say. So if you have to have the terabyte, which you don't, by the way, just like they've made the hard drive even easier to upgrade on this.
That's nice.
Yeah. Even on the base PlayStation 4, right? Sony provides official instructions and makes it easy to upgrade your internal hard drive for the PS4,
cool.
which I very much enjoy that. Thank you, Sony. But they've made it even easier with a cover for that hard drive bit that is even easier to remove and just provides direct access to that drive.
Right.
So it's now a 2-step process instead of like a 4 or 5-step process to replace the drive. Yeah, so it's under $500 for that right now. I am extremely impressed with that. And that even comes with a game at the pricing I'm looking at it right now. So
what game? Does it vary depending on where you get it from, or
the retailer I'm looking at offers Deus Ex: Mankind Divided, which is brand new, like this month, or BioShock: The Collection, which is coming out on the same day as the PlayStation 4 Slim.
So is that what, BioShock and BioShock 2 and BioShock Infinite?
Yep, all remastered for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. If you play on PC and own these games already, you get the remastered versions for 0 cost.
Do you have to own all of them?
Nope. You just have to... Whatever specific ones you own, you will receive the remastered versions of those.
I think you might have told me that before.
I think I have.
Oh, that's funny. I can't see BioShock in my Steam library. I've owned BioShock 1 and 2. I don't know where I own them. Maybe it's old enough that they're on disc or something. Oh, anyway.
Point is...
Never mind me.
Yeah, these remasters are all going to be free for PC players, except Infinite's not getting a remaster.
Well, it's relatively, well, no, not relatively new. It's not nearly as old.
20, I want to say 13.
3 years isn't that long a time.
The tail end of
Was a PS3.
the tail end of the PS3 and Xbox 360 era. So, and it looks real good on PC still, so definitely didn't need the remaster. Anyway, that's pretty freaking good pricing. Yeah,
because console pricing is always pretty expensive.
It really is.
So it is nice when it comes down, especially when it's a better one that it's coming down for.
I
wonder if the price of the old ones will drop as well now that the new ones are out.
Yeah, those have already dropped.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. This week for Sony has been pretty interesting because they've had to deal with Laura posting a video of a console that technically didn't exist.
Yeah, how did they deal with that? Like, did they ask her to take it down or anything?
No, they asked some of the bigger outlets when the story first kind of broke that this was like happening to take it down. And these bigger sites did comply. Laura has
I suppose they've got to maintain a relationship.
Laura has not been approached by Sony to take that down.
Because yeah, I don't think they'd have really any standing to say you have to take this down if like they've bought the product from a store that was breaking the rules, but like it's not stolen or they're breaking IP rules or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Or copyright. So with bigger sites, I can understand like they want to maintain a good relationship, so maybe they're basing it on that. But yeah, that's interesting.
Well, yeah, I don't know how that situation is going to play out for Laura because she and the crew at Let's Play Videogames.com, I should say, do rely on getting kind of press code for video games.
Yeah.
I don't imagine that's going to go away.
It'd be pretty yuck if it did.
Yeah, I don't think her relationship with Sony's been affected at all. In fact, one of the executives shortly after that story was posted actually did add her on Facebook. So I think she might be in the clear. But she hasn't got any messages or any requests to get things taken down. She just did her job and did some honest to God reporting. And broke that story. And I'm very happy with that. It's nice to see this new console. It's nice to see that a fellow trans lady was able to break this story and bring it to us.
Actually, what did she? I don't think I've asked. What did she think of it? Did she like it?
The PS4 Slim?
Yeah.
Yeah, she really likes it. Cool. She's not quite sold on the light bar now being at the top of those DualShocks.
So does that mean it faces away from you?
There's a tiny strip of color that faces towards you.
So what's that for? For someone who hasn't really used a PS4 controller, what is it?
Okay, so some games just light up in different colors and stuff to indicate different things. So for example...
So it's sort of part of the UI a little bit.
A little bit. It's not like the only feedback you're getting.
Yeah.
So take The Last of Us. The Last of Us, if you're at full health, the light that is currently on the back of those controllers will be green.
Wait, which side's the back?
The back as in...
Is it facing you when you're playing or facing away from you?
Facing... you know how to hold a controller. It's at the top pointing backwards.
Which way's backwards? Towards you?
Away from you. Away
from you. Okay.
It's pointing away from you, just producing a kind of ambient light.
I consider that the front of the controller, so that's why I'm getting confused.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's the back of the controller, actually.
No, I consider it the front. It's the bit you point towards the thing.
Yeah, the bit you point towards the TV. That's it.
Yeah, that thing.
That's it. So that lights up in green if you've got full health, and it goes down to orange and red as your health gets lower. It's just a little touch.
Yeah.
It's generally not very aggressively used. And now there's a little light bar that makes that color a little easier to see. I could imagine that certainly being distracting though. I'll have to see it in person to make any judgment calls on that, but
Fair enough. And I suppose both controllers will still work the same way with either console anyway, right?
oh yeah, they work the same way either way, so fuck it. Just do whatever. Um
Cool.
cool. Yeah, that's consoles and iPhones very briefly. Um yeah.
Yeah, I don't like the headphone thing at all. Like, I'm not going to get an iPhone, so it kind of doesn't really matter for me. But, like, with having those wireless headphones, I used to have a wireless headset that took AA batteries, and it would last, like, 6 hours, maybe. I
Yeah.
felt like I was always replacing the batteries. And now they've got these tiny little headphones with tiny little batteries. They're going to run out constantly. It's going to be awful.
I actually did find out about just how much they just how much battery life those new wireless things that they're including that the phones have.
Yeah?
Yeah, you want to know the answer to that?
Is it 8 hours or more? Because if not, that's pretty bad.
It's 5.
That's
5 hours.
pretty bad.
Yeah, why was that choice made again?
Like, if I were going to go to work and listen to music on the headphones while I'm at work, they'll die in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's useless.
Yep.
You know, if you're studying and you go to uni and you've got a big long break and you want to listen to it, like, in public transport on the way there while you're studying and then on the way back, they'll die before you get home. Like, 5 hours is useless.
Nothing. Something I remarked on this on Twitter, that Apple, in the post kind of Steve Jobs era, their software has been like on the up and up. Their software has just been getting better and better and better, and I very much enjoy the direction it's going. But the hardware, the shit that makes Apple so appealing to begin with, like the thing that was always real good about them is they didn't always have the greatest software, but their hardware was always on point. Really great. Now the inverse is true, where they have really great software, but their hardware is just getting progressively worse.
I agree with half of that. I'm not a fan of their software.
That's fair. I've liked their software for a long time just because it works.
To be fair,
It's
it
simple.
definitely doesn't help my impression that I still have my old iPhone 3
You
that
have
I
an iPhone
use for
4,
text.
sir.
Do I?
Yeah,
Whatever
you do.
number it is. It's a low number.
It's a well, I mean, it's not that bad. It's a 4. It's a few generations old.
Also several generations of software old, which is definitely not letting me evaluate their new software stuff.
No, their newer stuff is really great. And like I said, for the most part, it just works. And it's simple. It's all I really need the software to be, and it doesn't really have any frills, and I appreciate that.
You're right, I do have a 4. I was just checking.
That actually, now I've got a question. What games have you played that have a simple or deceptively simple kind of no frills experience, and you really enjoy the hell out of them? Because for me, that's Nuclear Throne.
So you're talking of like simple interface with the game, like, and the actions you can take, but it ends up being pretty rich from that. Is that the sort of thing you're?
Simple, yeah, like simple to play, simple UI, just very, very basic seeming, and then it just goes deeper and is thoroughly entertaining.
I mean, there's one I mentioned a few episodes ago where all you do is use the mouse. It's got pretty much all you do is move the mouse. Honestly, you can left click and right click for a couple of things, but you don't really do it very often.
This is Hammer Fight, right?
That's Hammer Fight. Yeah, that game has a really simple interface in that respect. In terms of its actual UI, it's a little hard to understand how it does your health. But in terms of how you interact with the game, that's really simple and that's really nice. There are some others as well that have some really nice simple stuff. Another one I mentioned a fair few weeks ago now, Bastard Bonds, that pixel art tactics game where it's a real nice simple interface where you left click or you right click and you either hold it down or you don't. And those are your 4 actions you can do in particular places. That's cool. Kingdom is another one where all you do is pick up and put down coins and move around left and right.
Which, of course, brings me to Reigns.
Of course. You mentioned that one a couple of weeks ago, didn't you?
Yes, I did. The very, very simple card game interface. It's smooth, it's fun to play with, and it just works. Reigns is really good. Gotta play that at some point. Oh.
But yeah, those are some games I've hit. I can think of just off the top of my head. I'm just looking through my list now in case there's more. That have got really nice simple interfaces, but fun to play and you don't get bored of them super quick or anything.
The Division has a real simple interface, but it does not have simple gameplay whatsoever.
Right.
So I'm not going to use that as an example here. I want to talk about some inverse examples real quick. Hello, every MMO ever. I'm putting you on blast.
Oh, I saw a video of World of Warcraft recently, and my flatmate had it on, and I just couldn't help but be like, "Oh my god, that's a horrible interface."
Just MMOs. There's so much going on in them that there is the potential for things to get very cluttered very fast.
Yeah. There was something like 15 little panes in this UI. It was nasty. I might be exaggerating from memory, but there was a lot, like more than 7 probably. Which is a lot.
Something that's kind of gone underappreciated in games recently, I think. You didn't play Dead Space at all, did you?
I have played a bit of Dead Space 1, but I am not a person who can do horror.
Yeah, you're not cut out for that, eh?
No, I'm not.
The reason I ask is because, do you remember that game's UI?
No. Did it have one?
See, this is it, eh? This is the question that I would enjoy hearing, because Dead Space's UI just blends into the game.
Because I remember the shop, it was basically like a projection in the game, right?
Yeah. Everything in
something.
that game is a projection within the game's universe. You pause, there's a projection in the game.
Kind of like what Borderlands does when they're in their screens as well, actually. That's quite cool.
Yeah. It's a nice little touch.
Yeah. Honestly, the first thing I do when I open a lot of games is, after turning subtitles off, I go in and see, okay, now how many HUD things can I disable and still play this game? Like when I set up Dishonored, it's, oh wow, there's a constant floating objective and a crosshair that gets in the way of whatever I'm looking at. Let's turn those off. And then, oh, everything I'm looking at glows. Let's turn that off. I think games really often will overdo the interface and okay, it's okay to have the options, but not everything needs to be on by default. It's so cluttered. Oh my god, so many games, so cluttered. Floating objective markers are bad. Don't use them. Don't have them. Just don't. Just if you need a floating objective marker, you need to have designed your objectives or levels better.
Well,
that's a bit harsh. That is
very harsh, because
I really don't like floating objective markers. I really don't like them at all.
When you're dealing with a game on a gigantic scale, like your Skyrims, your Battlefields,
I turn it off on them too.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, you have other ways of looking at that too.
Yeah, and it's fine to have a map or something you can go to check where your objective is supposed to be, but I just hate it when it gets in the way of what you're looking at. It just gets in the way. Oh, it's through that wall. Okay, I didn't need to know that right now.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't mind that half as much.
Yeah, it's something that just bugs me a lot. I've also been annoyed because I told you that my flatmate's been playing back through Final Fantasy X, so I've been watching him do that, which reminded me that you can't turn subtitles off. Like, having subtitles is good. You should definitely have subtitles, and they should be on by default.
Yes.
But also you should be able to turn them off.
Yeah, you should be able to turn them off before you even enter the game.
Exactly, because I've had some games with unskippable first cutscenes which start before you can turn subtitles off, and all I'm doing during them is wishing I could turn the subtitles off. I mean, it might be just me, but when there's subtitles there, I can't concentrate on the action. My eyes are just drawn to the words, and it splits my focus, and I don't like that. And it's not too bad in Final Fantasy X, honestly, because it's an old enough game that the animation is like, yeah, it's 15 years old, so like I'm not missing a huge amount. But I just wish I could turn them off.
Hey, video game designers, do you remember Uncharted 4? This
so
very
good
popular
with that, right?
video game. Yeah, it's an extremely popular video game. You might have heard of it. I don't know. Uncharted 4, in literally the first seconds of you opening that game, offers you every accessibility option that game has. Like, you start up for the first time, you go to start the game, and it's like, here are all the accessibility options. You can turn off subtitles. You can make all the events where you normally have to mash a button just a hold. You can do all these different things just before you start the game.
I mean, games already have this to an extent, right? In that when you start a new game, it says, what difficulty would you like? That is an accessibility option.
Yeah, it really is.
It makes sense to put this stuff first. You actually just reminded me of another one. You were mentioning that light bar that turns, green, orange, or red?
Mm-hmm.
It's good when games have color blindness stuff in them as well, particularly ones that rely on a lot of color-coded interfaces, like city building games. And city building games are typically pretty good at having color blindness stuff, from what I know. I'm not colorblind, so like if it's not there, I may not notice that it's missing. But it can be important to think about in a lot of games. Like, some games will have colored indicators. I know that the Arkham games, for example, have had like a red indicator when something's doing something you can't counter.
I know that Borderlands offers Borderlands offers that. Color blindness options.
Nice, because they use red and green indicators on items, right? Red is healing and green is uncommon.
Loot tiers and shit.
Yeah.
And those are indicated by colors, so they have to accommodate for color blindness by adjusting said colors. I don't know if even like Battlefield has that. If they don't, like, that game uses blue and orange to indicate this is possessed by your team, this is possessed by the other team. And yeah, if that's not like got a colorblind option, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah, basically anytime that in gaming or otherwise, honestly, if you're using color to convey information, then you got to think about the accessibility of that.
Yeah,
and it's cool because there are a bunch of tools you can use. Just Google it. They can be like, hey, this is an approximation of what it would look like with this type of color blindness. So you can see, oh, I can't tell the difference. I got to do something.
Or I have to provide an option to accommodate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, shit. Game devs, please look at Uncharted 4 as an example. Please. There's so much good stuff going on in those opening seconds where it presents you with a menu of accessibility options.
So speaking of showing options first, something I just remembered that Dishonored did. When I first started Dishonored up, it was at some weird, freaky low resolution. So I had to watch the opening, like, not cutscenes, but those unskippable logo videos at a really weird low resolution until I could change it. And then when I first started Undertale, it was in a small window in the center of my screen with everything else still around it. I used to get annoyed by it because I didn't see the point, but now I kind of really like when you're setting up a game and you at least have the option to go into the settings before you start the game, so you can be like, hey, please be a borderless window that's full screen size and this resolution before you start it. So
I like that on first launch.
Yeah. having it as I know Steam can sometimes offer it as an option where you can open the game or the settings for it externally. On first launch, yeah, it's nice. After that, it can feel excessive.
Yeah, hey, Borderlands, looking at you.
That's right. That's they do that, don't they?
They've got a launcher, and so does
Bethesda does it as well.
Tomb Raider has it.
Fallout and the Elder Scrolls games have had it.
I mean, well, that is for mod load order
as well. Well, no, they don't let you pick the load order, do they?
Yeah, they do.
Oh, do they now?
Yeah,
they didn't used to.
At least in Skyrim they have.
Okay. I got so used to, in Oblivion and Fallout 3, having to use the community-made tools for managing mod load order that I just never even looked at that in the official launcher anymore.
Yeah, you could always just do it in the official launcher, to my recollection at least. All right. I think is that going to be it for us this week?
I guess. What are you looking forward to playing this week?
Yeah, I am looking forward to I don't know, honestly. I might play some Overwatch this week. Well, I'm going to continue to play some Overwatch. I'm finally at the rank I can play competitive at, so...
nice. They just started a new season as well, didn't they, for that competitive stuff?
So I'm going to finish my placements and see how that goes.
So is that you have to play a certain amount and then it ranks you and then you do competitive?
That's, you don't have games that affect your skill rating until you actually get a skill rating. In order to do that, you have to play through 10 matches. So
you do have games that affect your skill rating, you just don't know what it is yet.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm probably also going to play some more Valkyria Chronicles this week. That's going to be fun.
Fair enough.
And...
You've been watching Stranger Things as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I have been. I'm finishing that off probably either tonight or tomorrow night.
Nice.
Stranger Things is really good, guys. You got to go watch that.
Is it Netflix only?
Yeah, it is a Netflix original. So, I mean, there are other ways to watch these things, as always. I am watching it on Netflix. I am watching it on Netflix. It's extremely good.
Nice.
If you at all enjoyed Twin Peaks, like I did, I would highly recommend going ahead and just grabbing yourself even the free trial for a month. Try out Netflix and watch Stranger Things. It's very good. It's very, very good. I'm also probably going to play Oxenfree after I finish that.
That game looks pretty cool. I've seen like the trailer for it and stuff. I think I put it on my Steam wish list.
I think you do. Yeah, so we got that. How about you, Mark? What are you looking forward to playing this week?
Definitely more Undertale. That's what I'm going to be doing after the recording's done.
All right.
It was so good last night. I can't wait for more of it. I will probably revisit Dishonored at some point, but hard to be sure. I still am going to be doing a bunch of D&D prep this week in my evenings. I can see, like my players have gone to a new area in my world, so I need to flesh it out and stuff, as well as having a new actual plot. But that's fun to put together and stuff anyway.
I'm definitely going to push you towards playing some more Dishonored at some point.
Yeah, no, I definitely mean to go back. It's just, you know how you can lose momentum when you know that the first thing you're going to do when you go back to a game is replay the same bit again?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's the pits.
Yeah.
All right.
So I might see if I can like just load my last... that's the thing, is the last like 30 minutes was escaping. So if I load my last save, I've got to go back in to get his body. That will just take longer.
I think it saves pretty frequently, so you should be able to get something.
Oh, I've made manual saves.
Okay, you should be fine.
So I'll be fine. It's just time to replay.
Yeah.
Same stuff. That's all. That wasn't too bad.
All right. So wrapping us up this week. First off, I want to say thank you to Anamanaguchi for our theme song. It is called John Hughes, and is off of the album Endless Fantasy. Anamanaguchi are really good. I would highly recommend listening to their music. We are on a bunch of social networks. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/groups/PauseCast show. Mark, where can people find our Twitter?
At On Twitter, we are at PauseCast Show.
At Gmail, we are pausecastshow@gmail.com.
So easy to remember all of these. They're the same thing.
What about iTunes?
Ah, damn it, you tripped me up with the other one. It's what? bit.ly/pausecast-iTunes?
That's correct.
Haha.
Pocket Casts as well, if you like us and want to listen to us on Pocket Casts, pca.st/pausecast. Wow, we got... Yeah, I just realized that URL is also pretty cool. pcast/pausecast.
Oh, yeah. I hadn't noticed that either.
Oh, that's very good. Anywhere else?
What about you? Where are you on social media?
Oh, good question. I am at CockatielCutie. That's where I am on Twitter, on Tumblr. You can find me at that username or by visiting bird.school. You can also find me on Twitch, because I'm thinking I might do some more streaming at some point or another.
Nice.
Twitch.tv/cockatielcutie.
Cool.
How about you, Mark?
I'm on Twitter as well, at HonestUniverse, and I blog a bit as well, though not about video games, at honestuniverse.com.
That's about science and medicine and stuff, right?
Mostly, yeah. It's about the aspects that piss me off, so quackery and the like.
Oh, good times.
Yeah, I write when I'm angry. Sometimes when I'm happy, those are different. Those are fun too.
All right, yeah. I think is that going to do it for us this week?
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening.
And we'll see you next week.
Cheers.
Bye.